Okay, yesterday I threw a ball and today is ready to trim. And this video I like to show the beginners how to trim your ball or trim your pieces. And there are some methods that it's helpful for you to make some kind of judgment so that you will have a nice trimming job done. The first thing is when is the right time to get your piece ready to trim. Okay, and in my previous video I showed people that if you try to squeeze the rim of your ball or your pieces, that the rim is not movable. Okay, it's not that you can alter it. Okay, and that's the first step. And then you feel the surface is kind of dry, it's not sticky. Okay, if your piece is too wet, then when your hand moves on the surface, it will be sticky. That's too wet. Okay, the rim is not movable. The bottom is not too sticky, and then you can still make some indent. Okay, if you have a fingernail to make some indent, you see the indent. So that's the perfect stage to trim. Okay. That's the first thing you want to judge, is when is the right time to trim. And then the second one is how thick, how deep you want to cut into the bottom. Okay, and then there comes the first thing is you should know how thick your bottom is. Okay, that's the important way to judge that how deep you will be able to cut it. But how can you measure the thickness of your ball? Okay, here I come up with some of a method that is my invention, but I didn't apply for the patent, so I passed to you, so that it's easier. You can make some very simple tools that you can measure it. Okay, the first you want to get a plastic ruler. Okay, it's like this. It's about 15 inches wide, or you can use a shorter one, maybe a foot. Okay, and then you need to find a chopsticks. Okay, this is the chopstick. I got it from the Chinese restaurant. It's a rounded shape. If it's not very round, you can use a sandpaper to sand it down, so it's nice and smooth. Okay, and then you want to use the drill bit to drill. In this one here, I drill 3 holes, one in the very center and 2 on the side, and this is come with the original ones. Okay, and the size of the hole will be the similar size, the same size, so that your chopstick can go through. Okay, can go through easily. Okay. But it's almost the same size. Okay, so that's the ruler and the chopstick. And on the chopsticks, you can see that I am making several marks. From here, every 50 millimeters, I use the red ink to mark one. Okay, and this is 50 millimeters and 100 millimeters, 150. And 200 millimeters. So I choose to use the millimeters because it's easier. It's not like the inches, that is like quarter inch, 1/8 inch. It's hard to judge of that. So I use the millimeters. And then on each one, about 10 millimeters, I use a black pencil or pen to mark each 10 millimeters. So here you can see that I got a 10, 20, 30, and 40, and then the red one is 50. And then in between, I use a little. I use the red ink to mark. That's the 5 millimeters. So every 5 millimeters, I put a little dot there, so you get a clear idea of what's the exactly the measurement. Okay, so first I will measure from the very top, from the top of the ruler go into the center of the ball. So I come up with the 50, 60, 70, it's about 77, okay, 77 millimeters, okay. Then I take out my chopsticks, and then I want to measure from here to the bottom of my, to the bat. I want to measure how thick it is. Okay, then I come up with 60, 70, 80, 90. It's about 92. Okay, so 92 minus 77, it's about 15. So I come up with the idea of the thickness of my ball. It's about 15 millimeters. Okay, so you get some rough idea that how deep you could cut it. Okay, about 15 millimeters. And usually I suggest people to cut the foot, to trim it down about less than 3 millimeters. Especially if you throw your pieces up the hump, then if you don't trim it thin enough, you will get S-crack. You got crack. So my suggestion is you trim it within like 3 millimeters, maybe even 2 millimeters, then you will be fine. Okay. So 15 within 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters. So I have about 12 millimeters to trim. So 12 millimeters, it's about this thick, this deep. Okay, this deep. So to get the some of the idea that how deep you can trim it. And then before you trim, you want to judge what the inside shape looks like. Then when you trim, you have to trim according the inside of the shape. Okay. In my case, the inside is very smooth, so my outside can go trim the same size, like same shape like the inside. Okay. And then when you are ready to place on the wheel, there are two methods that I usually do to get my piece stick on the wheel head. Okay, the one, especially when I have stoneware, I use a piece of a clay coil to kind of try to fix it. Okay, and the other one is I use water. You try to use water to stick on it. Okay, but when you are using water, then you have to learn the tap centering so that you get your center in time before the water dry. Okay, but if you're a beginner, you don't know how to center your piece using tap method. There is an easy way for beginner to try to get to the center. Okay, my way of doing it is try to make try an arrow. Okay, try to see which spot is off center, then you push it back from the direction to the center. Okay, so the first thing is you place your piece on the wheel and spin the wheel, and then you get a needle tool. Alright, and then you gradually try to find a steady spot. Okay, like I'm resting on the splash pan here. Try to stick out your needle tool. Okay, and gradually. And then eventually if your piece is not in the center, very good center, and then you're going to draw a mark, okay, a line actually. Okay, in this case you can see I draw a line from here to here, here to here, so that I know why this line, I draw this line is because this part is coming up the center. That's why I touch my needle tool. And the middle of this line, okay, in the middle here, this is the middle, okay. So if I push the middle of the line to the center, and eventually I will it will get to the center, okay. So in this case, I'm going to move my wheel so it's close to me, the center, and try to use my thumb to slightly move the whole piece toward the center, okay, right. And then I will do it again. If you do the right direction, you move into the right direction, then eventually your line will get longer and longer until you draw the whole circle. so that the way you know you got your center. Right, so try to do it again. Okay, now I have the line from here to here. Actually, I push a bit too hard, so it's on the opposite side. The line was from the opposite side, so it's okay. I'm try to push it back. Okay, so this direction, and this time I'm just going to push a tiny little bit. Okay. Okay, try to wipe up the line so you don't have so many lines. It's hard to judge. Okay, and then you do it again. Right, so there's a line here, so it's the middle, so I'm going to push a tiny little bit. Okay, and do it again. Okay, and now you can see I have the line in the whole circle. Okay, so I know this is the center. Okay, this is the center. And then you can get a piece of a clay coil to try to get your piece stick on the wheel head, so that when you trim your bowl, your part doesn't fall off the wheel head. Okay, so just get a clay coil, break it, try to put it on the side, and then make sure when you try to stick your bowl on the wheel head, make sure you hold it down. Okay, hold it down so you don't push it away, because you spend a lot of effort try to find the center, and if you try to push away, then you have to center it again. So hold it down, okay? Hold it down tightly, and then just use your thumb to get your clay stick on the wheel head and to hold the ball. Okay, so that's the how you find your center of your ball on the wheel head, and then you can I'm ready to start to trim. Okay, and then when you are trimming, actually I'm using this tool to trim, but if you don't have this kind of tool, you have only the startup kit of the tool. It's the same thing. Okay, try to find a very good support of your hand, and you can use the tool to cut it. Okay. This is the traditional tool, and I make my own trimming tool because the trimming tool this is a bit thicker than the commercial ones, and each time before I trim, I like to try to sharpen my tool. So if I have this kind of tool, and each time I need to grind it, I need to sharpen it, then pretty soon this will become faster than this one. Okay, that's why I like to use my own trimming tool. This is made from the hacksaw blade. Okay, and I have a video showing people how to make this kind of a trimming tool. You just search my channel and you will be able to find it. Or if you don't bother to make it your own, I also sell my trimming tools on Etsy, ETSY. So feel free to check it out there. Okay, so when you try to trim, make sure your hand is steady. So you always that you want to find steady. So I usually have my hand hold it on the side, and with my left thumb hanging out, kind of like a support of my tool. With this tool holding very tight, I could cut it in easily to remove the excess clay off. And for this kind of tool, I can switch side. Okay, I want to go up, I want to go down, go up again. And I usually roughly trim to the right width of my foot before I try to dig in. So I roughly got to the about the width I like. Maybe a bit smaller. Okay, so I got a roughly size and roughly trim this part here. The first thing I want to do is try to dig in to try to trim to the right thickness of the foot first, and then I do the final smoothing and final shaping. So I just try to level a little bit here, and remember this was about 92 millimeters, but now I'm cutting a little bit, so later on you might want to remeasure it too, because it will be a bit smaller than the 92, because I'm cutting a little bit off. Okay, alright, and then get a corner of my tool to try to cut a little width of my foot. So this will be the foot, and then the rest of clay in here, I don't need it. Okay, I have to remove it. Because of the measurement, I have in mind that I have about like 12 millimeters to remove. Okay, so I know if I cut it in 12 millimeters, okay, to double check it, because I already removed some of the clay here, so I would like to double check it again. Okay, this is about 91. Okay, so I remove about 1 millimeter off the foot here. 91.77. So it's about 14. And I need to know how deep I already cut. Okay, this is about 10. Okay, it's about 10. So I still have about like 2 millimeters to cut through, to cut it deeper. Check it again if you're not so sure. Okay, yeah, I always said it's about right. Okay, about 12 maybe 11.5 millimeters by checking. Sometimes if for the experienced potter, they can just by tapping it to hear the sound, see if it's the right thickness. So now my inside has been taken care of it. So I know this is the right thickness. And then I start to compare the outside and inside. The outside should be not too much higher than the inside. So that's how I judge it. The outside has to be just a bit, tiny bit higher than the inside, but not too much. Okay, that's how much clay that I know I could go. Now I am refining the foot. And make a little indent here so when I glaze. Oh, by the way, I like to have my foot a bit taller when I am trimming. Actually, when I'm throwing it, so that when I'm glazing it, I have a little bit of room for my hand to grab. Okay. So my foot of my balls usually is a bit taller. So everything here has been taken care of it. And you can use a little bit of a rubber to burnish the surface and also burnish the foot. And this is my stamp. I have someone custom made from Taiwan. I have two of my stamp. For a smaller one, I just put it on the side of my foot, and for a larger one, I put it on the inside when I have a major piece. And for smaller pieces, I just use my smaller stamp to stamp it on the side of it. So the foot has been taken care of it. Just about a year, I still need to get rid to trim a little bit so that the whole thickness will be similar. But before I remove it, I like to show you the chattering mark. Usually, I do the chattering, and using different tools, you can get a different mark of a chattering. This one I have a smaller blade, so I'm going to make a chattering mark by using a smaller blade. And spin the wheel a bit faster and hold it at an angle. got a little line here to define it. So that's my chattering mark. After I finish, I will bring it closer to show you what's the look of the chattering mark. And usually I do the chattering the last step. After I got everything done, everything is nice and smooth, and then I do the chattering mark. Okay, so that's the chattering mark. And then I kind of remove my clay coil where I try to use that to stick my ball on the wheel head. And just carefully to hold it here. Hopefully I can trim a little bit clay off. And when I'm doing this, I have my hand holding there, so if it got too much pressure, it doesn't fly away. And now is a good time. You see that I'm trying to use my left hand to just tap centering. It's easier to center once you learn the skill. You can just adjust it right back. Burnish a bit here. And by the way, people ask me, they usually ask me what kind of clay I use. I'm using porcelain, okay, porcelain. And I mix my porcelain. I have two different porcelains. I mix them together. One is a Coleman porcelain, and the other one is from local. It's called Glacier. I mix them with 2 powder of a Coleman and 1 powder of a Glacier. So that's when I'm working at my home studio. I use porcelain. So now the whole piece is done and has been trimmed. And after I remove from the wheel head, I like to use the sponge to smooth. You see the rim has a little bit of a clay here. For porcelain, you could use a sponge, but if you have stoneware, if you use sponge, sometimes you draw the grog from your clay body. Okay, so if you have the stoneware, I would suggest you use a piece of a chamois, okay, to try to smooth it instead of using a sponge. Sponge will draw the roughness out of the rim. Okay, so this is the bowl that I just trimmed, and to show you the chattering mark. Okay, and the shape, I told you that you need to follow the inside curve. The outside is following the inside curve. Okay, and to show you the measurement, okay, that's all I said, so I have to prove it. Okay. I know a lot of people don't like me to cut it open, because you can see that I spend all the effort trimming it to nice and perfect, and then you cut it open. But it's for showing the people, it's for educational purpose, so it's okay. Sacrifice my piece can help a lot of people. Okay, so that's the thickness on the inside. I told you that with the measurement, I trimmed it within, I would say, 2 millimeters. Okay, 2 millimeters here. I'm probably about 3 millimeters here on the side. So that's the final shape for the section I cut it open for you. Okay, and this is the outside. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope you learned something from my demonstration. Right, thanks for watching.